Everyone, I'm Rejoice on Umatta Consultant Podcast. If today's your first day watching us, please make sure to subscribe on all of our social media platforms, especially Spotify. Today, we have the special privilege of speaking with Jose. He is the Global Chief Executive Coach. I would love for him to introduce himself as he sees fit, and we'll dive right into the questions. Jose, the mic is yours, please.
Hi, Rejoice. Good evening to you, and good morning over here to the audience joining from Asia. I am Jose, as you well said, and I'm really happy to be here today because we're going to have a very organic dialogue where you'll be able to ask me all the questions that you have regarding the coaching industry, the trends, the experiences I've gone through. And this will also allow me to get to know you a little bit better. And definitely no filters here, so you can ask really anything you please. All right, so let's make
Awesome.
it fun for your audience. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. And as you said, you have coached leaders across 5 continents. How have you personally seen executive coaching evolving for like the past 10 to 15 years from your experience?
That's a great question. So the main change I've seen since I started precisely about a decade plus ago is that coaching has is becoming more democratized. That means not only the top executives are having access to a coach nowadays, so high potentials, talent, emerging leaders, people who usually would not be the usual suspects to be
Mm-hmm.
coached are now becoming more and more interested, knowing that these can change their lives literally and their careers, right? Not only professionally. Coaching has also become more personalized,
Mm,
and if we look at it from an organizational perspective, right, working with corporates, because this is my forte. I've been working with some of the biggest Fortune 500 organizations globally, as you mentioned. Is that it's no longer as it used to be in the past, an ad hoc kind of initiative where HR or the leadership team thinks that a coachee uh, needs to be fixed. Uh, Therefore, we send her or him to a coach. That's no longer the case. For most part, organizations have understood the importance of integrating coaching
mm,
into their overarching organizational strategies and goals, and how individuals contribute to the teams and to the organizational change, right, to achieve the common goals that they aim for. So it has become a much more cohesive uh, approach, and this has helped coaching grow to the levels where we see it today. It's huge demand.
awesome. I actually would love to also hear how did you end up in coaching in the first place, if you don't mind giving us a backstory a little bit.
Sure, yes. So back in the days, I was in a career kind of cross path, crossroad. I I knew I wanted to do something new, something different. I had been working in different industries, and the focus was on still on leadership, but also in business management, sales, business development, and so on. And I had studied international relations. I did a master's in Australia, Singapore, where I the focus was on international political economy, diplomacy, foreign policy, and so on. And I realized that coaching was the way to get to learn from top leaders in a way that was not the you know the traditional. Let's put it that way. Although coaching had been going on for a while, but I was very curious to know more about coaching. I had a conversation with a basketball player called Curro Avalos a couple of years before I got into coaching professionally. And he was an athlete who had an injury a very serious injury, and he had to abandon his basketball professional career at his peak. So he had to, come up with an idea to continue maintaining that lifestyle, and he became a coach, a sales coach in this case. And so after having a chat with him and seeing him in action, I found it very inspiring. And then, eventually, while in Singapore, I met Charlie Lang and Mike Hughes. Charlie is one of the pioneers in the executive coaching field in Asia Pacific, and it was through a connection with him that he and I started working together at an organization that had presence in throughout Asia Pacific, and that's how I became a certified coach with ICF. How I was co-leading also a program called ICC for Singapore Management University, where we would bring executives and also people from government to become certified coaches so that they could better serve their organizations as eternal coaches. So yeah, this was the start of everything, and I haven't stopped since then. I really love this career, and being able to serve other people through coaching is a privilege, and I get to learn so much every day. So yeah, I couldn't have taken a better path.
Exciting, exciting. I like that you mentioned to serve, and it's a privilege to be in this type of role, which all sort of connects to some of the things we're about to ask you to learn from you. How is technology, for example, AI, VR, or coaching apps, changing the coaching landscape from your point of view?
So, well, yeah, there are so many different technologies. You've mentioned here AI. Of course, this is the most prominent. That's impacting the not only coaching, but I think any field really, and our lives. So it is exciting to see how things are evolving in such a fast pace, much more than any time before in history. And I do use and I do see AI playing an important role as a support system for the coach and the coachee when it comes to looking up information and also asking questions to some of the AI chatbots. And the chats are just a fraction of what AI is going to offer. But this is what most people are familiar with, right? Because it doesn't take any expertise really to use a chat. Having said that, coaching is one of the professions that will be least jeopardized, impacted in a negative way, because AI is a two-sided coin, right? It has pros and cons, and it depends on how we use it, like with any technology. So coaching is still going to be very, very relevant. And that is because, as we know, AI, with all of its advantages, it does not have the capability to feel with people, to empathize, to leverage on lived experiences, right? So it thrives on data. It's super fast, faster than any human brain. So yeah, for us to understand that coaching is serving, sorry, AI is serving the coaching industry, and it's not going to be AI is not going to replace coaching, fortunately, for those of us who are coaching. So I see also a higher demand from people who want to become certified coaches, right? Precisely because it's a way to prove their careers or to have a side uh, uh, hustle, and many are preparing, for what might come, and this is something that is, creating a lot of traction.
Glad to
Then, when it
hear.
comes to, sorry, you mentioned also, I don't want to forget about, technology like VR, for example. So VR, I mean, we heard and we've seen so much interest in creating uh, through these glasses, right? These intelligent glasses, and also with the VR. I mean, Oculus is an example. I think this, for entertainment purposes and to experiment, it's good. Again, it's another platform to use. I don't think this is going to take off in a big way, and I resort to simple techniques like visualization with clients. For example, I can recall yesterday I was having a session with a client from Barcelona, from Spain, where I'm originally from, virtually. And yeah, we just did this small exercise of visualization where I helped him to project himself into the future. And he closed his eyes and he started to imagine and idealize about how he wants his business to to go in the next few months. And for me, this is so powerful, and I don't think VR can compete with that because we leverage on the imagination, on the inner wisdom of the coaches, and on human creativity. Yeah. So then apps, well, this has definitely revolutionized coaching. There is an app that I'm currently involved in through my global strategic partner, ITD World. It's called Let's Coach app. And this is an amazing platform that also helps us integrate coaching communities. So I think this is where the beauty is, being able to bring people together through an app so that they can use it regularly and
Mhm.
tap into all the many tools that are integrated in the app.
That is phenomenal. Bringing a group of coaches together on an app where they can also collaborate with other mentees. I think that is a very phenomenal idea to sort of look into. I haven't heard that before, so I'm learning for the first time that that's something you're thinking about. Could you tell us, Jose, are you noticing a shift in what leaders are seeking from their coaches today versus like a decade ago?
The areas where we've seen tremendous development, and this is due to several reasons, which I'll go into in a minute, is the demand for team coaching. So understanding that coaching needs to be integrated at an organizational level. So again, individuals, teams, organizations, and then industries. It goes beyond organizations. So it's all about collaborative leadership and understanding that, helping leaders connect the dots. And it also, team coaching helps as an alignment force, right? And as a way to leverage on commitment. Because when you have a group of, or a team, can be team coaching or group coaching if you have people participating from across industries, and that's also a great way to collaborate and for leaders to understand what's happening in other organizations. And yeah, it brings transparency to the process. So definitely, team coaching has been massive. I do quite a bit of work specifically on team and group coaching, and this also makes coaching less of a myth, right? It helps to democratize coaching. It brings different perspectives. So from an inclusive leadership perspective, it's also important to bring team coaching to the picture because it's a safe space that we managed to create together with participants so that different different perspectives, different experiences can be expressed, and therefore that can create that dialogue that will help to ultimately create uh, thinking shifts and behaviors, and to help sustaining behaviors. Yes, and this is just one area. Rejoice. If I look at how organizations have also uh, starting to understand what coaching is, there's also
Mhm.
been a huge progress, right? We need to continuously, sorry, keep educating uh, leaders and our HR partners to really understand that coaching is a way of life. It's not a one-time intervention that
Mhm.
you can use in an isolated way. I don't think that's working anymore. So it's about understanding how coaching gets integrated into the bigger picture to achieve the big strategic goals of an organization, and then follow through to understand where the gaps are, so that we can together in partnership help leaders close it.
Excellent. Excellent. I wonder on that thought. the need for more group coaching could be because of the top-down approach is not as I guess implemented in many organizations as before. People are going from bottom up from ideas, so maybe that's why maybe there's need for more collaboration. For I wonder, just curious.
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, well, you're a seasoned HR professional with many years of experience, and you know how this plays out, right? Indeed, this is a key factor. The new generations, that have been coming into the workforce, digital natives. I don't like to put people into boxes, right? We're all unique in our own ways, and each individual can contribute differently to an organization. But we definitely see a trend on in the sense that the new generations, they are expecting more transparency. They want to have more autonomy, and they want to be able to contribute based on life purposes, right? This by contrast generally to other generations that are still in the workplace. So to me, is again something that relates to collaboration, cross generational collaboration, and we as coaches helping the new generations embrace their own leadership styles, and again, while respecting some of the things that have been working over the years, because organizations have a history. In many cases, with the Fortune 500 companies I work with, they have a legacy. They are legacy brands, right? And that needs to be continued. I mean, there is a mandate. At the same time, is also about integrating the new ideas and the new ways of leading. And as you said, the top-down approach is not appealing to most people nowadays. They want to be able to challenge sometimes the status
Yes.
quo and be able to, to also exercise cross mentoring, for example. So that's having a 20-year-old woman in a tech company, having the chance to mentor or even coach the managing director of the organization, just to
Right.
give an example. And I think this is magical. This is what's making organizations thrive the moment you have that integration. And coaching is an element that uh, helps as a glue, if you will, right, to bring generations together through the power of open-ended questions, uh, power of curiosity, rather than imposing and giving instructions, which again works in depending which situations, right? We were talking here about a big crisis and tough decisions having to be made with a very limited amount of time. Uh, you probably don't have the time to spend in coaching uh, uh, the entire organization, right, to make that decision. So it's about situational leadership and wearing the different hats. Coaching is complementary to other approaches.
Excellent. Going along with what you're mentioning, Jose, what are some of the greatest challenges facing executive coaches today?
So for us, for executive coaches, the challenge is no different compared to other professions. You're having, on one hand, in terms of population, competition is fierce, is growing. You have more coaches than ever before, and this is going to continue being a trend, and that's a good thing. I love competition, but I like to see competition from a collaboration angle, right? So one of the challenges is that as competition grows, uh, you may see unethical practices, and this again happens across industries of people trying to, uh, you know, uh, rather than working with each other and learning from each other, uh,
Right.
seeing how they can bring each other down. So I've seen a fraction of that over the years, and I'm a huge advocate for collaboration. So different coaches have different styles. How can we all leverage our differences for good, right? To better serve clients, and this is the way forward. The other challenge that I see is commoditization of coaching, and that means organizations that came up with certain platforms to bring scalability to coaching, and there's a space for that. They have engaged external coaches paying them a small fraction, right? Very, very small fees. And then I
Yes.
get to see some fellow coaches who, you know, work around the clock, taking a lot of small assignments, so quantity over quality, and earning fees that are very, very low. So that's not my focus, but I know that many people are suffering, and yeah, it's about how you position yourself, and there are different levels of coaching. Of course, this serves a purpose, right? But ultimately, uh, high quality coaching and master coaches, people with top certifications, with global experience, with who are able to bring different perspectives, and who are industry agnostic and are able to work with organizations across sectors, are going to to be in a much better position. But yeah, we need to pay an eye on how we sell our services, so that it doesn't become something super cheap that people don't appreciate, right? So as coaches, what I tell my fellow coaches and coaches I mentor is that you know we need to be able to value what we bring to the table, and be very strategic also in terms of partnerships, in terms of um, self branding, right? So that people can continue getting the best, and for us, without jeopardizing the quality of the work that we do. So again, there is a niche for different kinds of coaching, but
Yes.
the one we're able to maintain that high level and that continuous learning mindset, uh, because we're learning every day, literally.
E-
Uh,
Exactly.
this is what makes the difference, to stay,
Very
you know,
true.
up to date, and be part of the game.
Very true. Very true. There are some key points you mentioned that I would like us to come back to. But for now, what strategies do you use to address resilient resistance from leaders who may not see the need for coaching? They're already executives, they're the VP or maybe CEO. They may have some resistance in approaching a coach or being coached by someone else.
What a fantastic question that is, Rejoice. Indeed, resistance is there. We are human, right? We we tend to be uncomfortable with the unknown, and that includes fear in some people, and that's natural, right? So again, we need to use our pedagogy and be very empathetic, understand where that comes from, be curious again to go deeper, and really feel why this might be the case, and it happens very often, indeed. And ultimately, um, help leaders understand that, as my mentor and North Star, Dr. Marshall Goldsmith, who's the number one in the industry of executive coaching for so many years. He's into legacy mode. He's doing amazing work, helping so many of us. As he says, as the title of his famous book carries, what got you here won't get you there, right? So this is a message that I bring to people that may show initial resistance, right? So yeah, well, as you said, Rejoice, they may have been very, very successful in the past. That does not guarantee future success. Why? Because the world is changing again at a pace that is uh, almost unbearable. It's overwhelming for all of us, right? And with geopolitics, and I won't get into that, but also impacting businesses
Yeah.
worldwide. Uh, you may wake up in the morning, going through certain news that may change everything around us. So I understand that resistance to change, but the only way to really be ahead of the curve, or at least keeping up with the pace of things, is to be very, very avid for learning. And coaching is one of the greatest learning uh, approaches, because it taps into our human curiosity of willing to know
Mhm.
more, and willing
Right.
to understand how others feel things, and this is the game changer. So another way is to help them through some examples and some case studies, understand how these elevates the game for leaders in terms of their leadership skills, and and bringing people together as well through active listening. Coaching, it's complex, but at the same time, we need to try to simplify it by, focusing on the foundations. And the foundation of coaching is having a very humane dialogue where, we actively listen to the person listens to us, and from there we build trust, we build rapport, and we're able to tap into the potential, the creativity of leaders, so that they can come up with their own solutions. We're not imposing anything here, right? We are, as coaches, are guides, and the accountability is on the coaches, on the teams, on the organizations. And this is the beauty of coaching, right? And how, by contrast with consulting, for example, where I'm not a consultant for most part. I do step in to do some strategic leadership work, but ultimately, some people confuse coaching with consulting still nowadays.
Yeah.
And I've also got in the past clients who wanted to become certified coaches that were consultants, and they struggle and they gave up because they are so used to tell people what to do all the time. For years, they are matter experts, and this is not what coaching is about. It's not about sharing our knowledge and telling people, okay, this will work, or stop doing that. Now they need to figure out by themselves. We ask the questions, they reflect, and from there the magic happens in between sessions as they start to connect the dots and implement some of the ideas that emerge throughout the sessions.
Very true. Very true. Very true. And I think a lot of the executives listening today will really appreciate the answers that you're offering. You mentioned something earlier that drove my curiosity. You mentioned there are many people entering the coaching industry. With so many coaches entering the field today, how can organizations and individuals truly find credible coaches to work with?
So credibility, in a way, is something subjective, right? So I cannot speak on behalf of all organizations. I tell you what my experience tells me and my intuition tells me. And one of the key pillars here is that a coach needs to have a formal accreditation, right? And if they can have more than one, more than two, even better, right? To understand different coaching approaches. ICF is a great start. That's how I also started getting an ICF accreditation back in the days, and this brings a level of understanding of what the coaching industry looks like. It sets the golden standards of coaching, and whether you're aiming to become an executive coach, a leadership coach, or a life coach, ICF offers that umbrella for everyone. And then, anyways, many of the providers offering coaching programs out there are ICF approved, right? So the hours count towards ICF accreditation. And so yeah, certification is one. The other important aspect here, Rejoice, is having corporate experience, right? So having worked with organizations internally, if as in my case, for people who had the opportunity to become internal coaches in the learning and development space as part of HR, that also is something that has helped me, and that's a big plus. And then obviously the global experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because someone that has been living in the US, for example, for his or her entire life, or in Saudi Arabia or Singapore, always in that cultural context, now starts, having clients that are living in other parts of the world with different cultures, different ways of conducting business. If they lack that cross-cultural expertise, they're going to find it difficult, right? I'm going to give you an example here so that your audience can understand. Coaching someone from Japan, right? As a European, I'm a global soul. I know I need to make certain adjustments when I'm coaching someone from a culture that is so different from my own culture of origin.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about understanding silence. Yeah, so more often than not, and again, I don't want to generalize, but I picked the example of Japan because I see a pattern, a behavior pattern of when I'm asking a question, then filtering everything in the head, really going deep into their inner wisdom before they come up with a conclusion or with an answer, right? So we need to feel comfortable with those silences. Maybe a few
Mm-hmm.
seconds. You just need to, let your
Process.
coachee process
Mm-hmm.
and match their pace. Okay, for someone that might come from a Western country, where we tend to feel in the silences, we get nervous if there is a silence. It might be uncomfortable, and that may show, right? So yeah, this is just a tiny example of how important it is to have to bring that experience in working with people from so many different backgrounds and also age groups. So again, diversity, right? Diversity, inclusion also plays a role here in the way we coach. And this is what organizations are expecting. This is what organizations expect. So these are three pillars. So
Very true.
the global cross-cultural awareness,
Mm-hmm.
the corporate experience, and the accreditations.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with you on all of those things. It adds into your ability to influence or listening to what's happening before you can even sort of help the person reach where they need to reach. What are some skills do you think executive coaches will need to have in order to be successful in the next 5 or 10 years from now?
A pure coaching perspective, uh, coaching practice, executing coaching sessions. It's sticking to the core coaching competencies, right? Empathy, um, active listening, uh, resilience over the years is becoming more prominent. So yeah, it's going back to the basic coaching skills. That's not gonna go out of fashion. I mean, this is the core of what we're doing, anyways, right? Uh, from a business uh, perspective, a pain point that I hear often, and we all go through it in different stages of our career as coaches, is coaches finding it difficult to promote themselves, to build a solid personal brand, to come up with their own coaching models and frameworks and tools that are unique, that connect very deeply to their identities as coaches, to their core values as human beings, to who they are. This is what makes a big difference. And also in terms of business development, many panic when they need to do business development and sales and knowing how to close a deal, having that marketing business acumen, uh, mainly because many of them don't come from a sales background, and they find it very difficult to close sales. They don't want to sound too pushy. Of course, that's not
Right.
the way. It's about building solid relationships. And so, yes, this is a struggle for many coaches. I've also been there, and it's not always easy. Again, the competition is very, very, very big. But it's about finding your niche, knowing where you perform best, and focusing on your strengths as a coach. And we, as coaches, should all know our weaknesses and our strengths, right? So it's leveraging on strengths, and this goes a long way. So this is where I see, we need to continue evolving as coaches.
I agree with you. And the personal branding piece stuck out to me the most. Being able to sort of figure out your brand and how to sort of differentiate yourself in the mix of competition is so important. And I like that you hit on that segment of being a really good coach out there for the next couple of years and what we're seeing in the changes in the industry. When you were talking earlier, you talked a little bit about diversity of the types of people that coaches will be coaching. How will coaching adapt to support new generations like Gen Zs that are rising into leadership roles currently? Everyone talks about Gen Zs, but also we would like to know, how would coaches adapt to their style?
So here, the way I look at it is uh, it's all about customer centricity, right? So it's about understanding uh, what this new generation brings to business, to humanity, what they crave for, and what they need, and from there, be able to co-create new workplaces that they are going to lead. In many cases, they are already leading workplaces, especially if we talk about startups.
Mm-hmm.
They are business owners at age 20 plus. I mean, even earlier. I know some cases, some friends, and some clients that at a very early stage started their own organization, and now they are growing and building teams. So it's about removing any biases that we have, not
Mm-hmm.
assuming anything. I'm from a different generation. I'm a millennial, and I've worked more with people that are baby boomers and above, but also with the younger generations. So I'm somewhere in between, and I'm able to understand uh, where they all come from. I have friends that are in the mid 20s and friends who are in the early 90s, and many of them still with that continuous learning mindset, right? So it's about helping them leverage their strengths. And autonomy is one of them, transparency, and we spoke about this earlier throughout our conversation today. And from there, helping them create their own leadership styles. So, in a way, learning from what's there that's valid from the past and not being afraid of challenging the status quo and find new ways of leading. And coaching can be, again, a backbone, an element that helps them through the process. And not putting people into boxes, right? Again, we need to understand that the the, the generational element is it makes a big impact, but it's only
Right.
one element.
Right.
Then we need to look at other aspects that influence the way they see the world, and ultimately finding ways for them to thrive, be inclusive with them. So I remember a small example, Rejoice, if I may share. I'm not sure how we're doing time wise. Yeah. So there's an example of a bank in Singapore many years ago. I remember having one of the leaders on stage. We were serving this large organization, and the person was in her 50s, and she was criticizing the new generations as being non-adaptive. And this is something that stays with me. I put it as an example. Uh, she mentioned this. She said, "Well, the new generations who enter the workforce, they need to adapt. We've been doing this work. We know the business. We are the experts. They have to be more humble, more resilient, and understand how the business works. And they are the ones who need to adapt to us. Partly yes, and don't the top leaders who have been running the show for so many years have to also learn from the new generations? Don't they have to create safe spaces for the new generations to feel that they belong and that their voices count? So it's a mutual, thing. It's a two-way. Uh, it's a two-way thing.
Amazing. I completely agree with you that it's a two-way assessment, especially when it comes to the way people work and how they work with each other with the workforce and etc. I guess I'm also curious to find out from you, what role will coaching play in helping organizations navigate major societal shifts like diversity? I know you spoke about it a little bit earlier, remote work, and even the topic around mental wellness.
That's quite a lot. I'm digesting the question because there are different areas that overlap. Let's start with the future of work from remote work, right? You mentioned remote work. We've already seen this even before the pandemic. Working, I was lucky enough to be in a full-time remote role as a global senior director for an organization called Catalyst from New York. It was a global role, and I was working, except from the instances when I was traveling to serve clients and to attend conferences and so on. The rest of the time I was working from home, right? So this is something that many organizations have embraced. The pandemic was also a big factor, as we know. Yet there are still many coaches that they don't feel comfortable conducting sessions virtually, right? So we need to adapt, and it's great that we're able to have this conversation, you and I, today. I'm in Asia, you're in the US, and we need to leverage technology, right? This is out of question. So it has already changed. It's going to continue changing. And I want to dive deeper into the mental wellness. I'm not a psychologist, a doctor, right? I'm not qualified
Yes.
to go too deep into mental health. But when it comes to wellness, something is clear to me. Organizations, some are doing a great effort. Others, I would say the vast majority, are still very behind. Need to create workplaces that take into account that people expect to feel that care. So we cannot only rely on self-care. We cannot expect the employees to feel that well-being by simply giving them a subscription to a yoga app or to a mental well-being app or mindfulness app or whatever, and think that the company has done the work. It's not about that. It's about creating a safe environment, a space where everyone feels a sense of belonging, where everyone feels that they have the chance to thrive, and that there are opportunities regardless of their background. And this takes courage, and it takes leadership, and it means revisiting some of the company policies and traditional ways of working. So ultimately, the organizations that are able to really build solid well-being programs and equip leaders as internal coaches to be able to have those one-on-one conversations regularly with their people, by being curious about how are they feeling, how is it that they as managers can support, goes a long way, right? And I'm thinking here of an article that I read a while ago that says that, based on research, the impact a manager has on someone's health is higher than that of the person's doctor, general practitioner.
Wow.
Check it out. That's a big statement, and research backs this up, right? So we need to be able to understand that the influence that a manager exercises in an employee, in a direct report, is tremendous. Mm-hmm. So how we equip those managers to, again, show empathy, vulnerability, lead by example. They're also human. They suffer. They are sometimes, if not most times, trapped in the middle, right? So it's how we support that, and how we create a system that makes managers thrive and be more autonomous and be able to bring their leadership to the front to help the ones that report to them, and also the ones above, right? How they are the glue for organizations to close that gap between the top leadership and the base. Okay, and we see this in hierarchical organizations that are very, very large, because of course you need a hierarchy, when you have thousands and thousands of employees. But I also feel rejoice as I coach many of the top leaders, not only the managers, I also know that many of them are feeling very lonely.
Yes,
Decision making is becoming more and more complex and difficult, and they need to rely on input, and they find that they don't have that input because either people at the base don't have a direct connection, either because they don't dare to give feedback upwards, and therefore they're lacking direct input from the people that are in the ground, facing the business challenges on a day-to-day basis. So, this is something that we need to take into account, and to help also the top leaders understand that connecting not only intellectually and through data and through KPIs, but also emotionally. Yes,
yes,
emotionally. Emotions are a taboo in many organizations. Without being able to feel the pulse of how people feel as human beings, it becomes very, very difficult that trust, that bond is there for them to fit each other with stories, data, with lived experiences that can enrich the business and help the business thrive in the future.
yes. You are so right, especially what you mentioned about the emotional effect that a manager or a supervisor could have on their employee. It's huge, and definitely worth investing in good leaders so they can have positive impact on those that they lead. Jose, what is one change that you would love to see happen in the executive coaching industry?
So yeah, there are many changes that we need to bring to the industry. Not expect the change to happen, but be the change ourselves.
Yes.
And one of the changes is, again, going back to collaborative leadership and servant leadership. I know this is happening, and I want to see more of it. And I hope role modeling in at least in this aspect of building bridges among coaches. See big impact through a team of independent coaches that come together to create a big impact in organizations and to help each other in a big way. And some of this is already happening. We have the Marshall 100 coaches community. This is just one example. Also, the organization I partner with, ITT World, through the app that we mentioned before, is doing great work to bring communities together through the CCMC coaching certification program, and we see that this is the trend that moves the needle farther, deeper collaboration and trust among coaches. Because if we have power individually through coaching, through the power of questions, imagine how strong we become when we are together.
Very true.
So yes, more strengthening that change that we already start to execute and to see. Another thing that I am excited about is how organizations embed coaching as a coaching culture, so the backbone of an organizational culture or leadership style, uh, being coaching the major force, and so equipping organizations with these tools, with these coaching tools, so that they can achieve breakthrough uh, success. And also, what I'm very happy about, and I start to see the change, and we're going to see more of it, is having happier people in organizations. Ultimately, it's about getting people to give their best so that they can contribute to the organizational goal. And for that, we need to create contexts in organizations where people feel that the organizational goal relates to their individual and personal goals and aspirations, right? So when people see that in an organization they have a path for growth, that they can bring their ideas, that this is helping them grow as leaders, and the leaders are enabling that, guess what? Retention goes up, loyalty goes up, and everyone is happy. So I've seen and I've also felt the pain myself, like most of us, at some stage in our careers, of not feeling included, or feeling that the approach was too top down, or many people experience burnout. So I want to see less of that, and I know that coaching is helping people frame things in a way that helps them succeed and sustain that success to contribute to their happiness. Again, going back to the life purpose, right? It helps people identify, understand, solidify their purpose so that work becomes joy and not a tedious task every day, right? This is the ultimate goal, and that's how I support leaders to help them gain further awareness internally, self-leadership, doing the inner work, dealing with their emotions, leveraging EQ, and then when they're leading others, is about understanding from a 360 angle how that relates to the external world out there and how they can influence, and also how they need to let go of the things that they cannot control, right, out of their circle of influence.
Very true. Very true. I really like the way you connected coaching to metrics that are needed in organizations to sort of survive. And I also like how you directly connected to happiness of people. As an HR person, I love hearing that because we think, or most HR people think, if employees are empowered, they're happy at work, you should get the best results from them. So it sort of aligns with our philosophy too. And, hearing you talk about the coaching culture is extremely amazing. So, Jose, if someone, if you were to give someone a piece of advice, if they're considering becoming a coach today, what would that be?
First thing is that they need to tap into their inner wisdom and ask themselves, am I ready? Am I willing to serve others? Something genuine?
Yes.
Is this going to be about putting the coaches first? Because only then they're going to be able to thrive in a very competitive
Yes.
industry. So if the shift it's primarily due to, well, I'm going to make a lot of money as a coach, don't do it. Don't do it. Everyone, of course, is everyone's free to go one way or another, make their own decisions, but it's a long journey becoming a certified coach at a high level. It takes many, many, many years of effort, continuous learning, curiosity, challenging our own beliefs and biases, and being able to be very vulnerable and show that also to the clients, to be able to build that trust, which is the foundation of the relationship for the person to grow, so that they can show what the challenges is. Only then we can have an understanding and help them, right? We need to understand what the pain points are, and for many that's difficult to show. So again, it's about active listening and empathy, and putting the clients first. Today, I feel because you are the one being the coach, you're asking these amazing questions. That I'm answering more than listening, of course,
Yeah.
because I'm the interviewee in your podcast. But ultimately, in reality, in coaching sessions, is the other way around, right? We would be speaking only 20-30% of the time, usually, right? Because the rest is asking the questions, trying to understand the golden nuggets that come out of the mouth of the coaches and leverage on that, so that we can be very, very focused on what's happening for them in that moment, navigating the moment and using our intuition. So yes, if this is something that sounds appealing to people, I hope they they will be able to listen to this uh, podcast. Uh, I hope that serves as an inspiration. I'm happy also to connect, to answer questions, and perhaps open some doors for those who genuinely feel they can contribute to our field. And I have a question, Rejoice, if I may, for you. Is it okay?
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you. You were talking about happiness,
Yes.
previous question, and I want to know, because I see you are a servant leader. It comes across you're someone who who feels joy when you're supporting others, and you're a continuous learner, that I know. So, what is it that makes you happiest when you're conducting these amazing podcast interviews, and when you're supporting people from a HR leadership standpoint? Can you tell me how does that feel, and what is it that makes it special for you personally?
Yes, absolutely. It's a fantastic question, by the way. And for me, I think I've always had it in me to help others. It's something that I've always done. And I think the happiness comes from seeing someone believe in themselves after they talk to me, or after we discuss something that they're doing, and they feel after the conversation they've been empowered, they've been inspired, they feel like they can go out there and they can do it. I think that makes me super, super happy, because after that, I'm like, wow, we just did it together. So it's a team effort. I guess this is where I shine the most, where I'm able to listen, ask questions, sort of discuss what we're working on, and the person sort of gets it. And they go out there and they do it. And, we celebrate together. I think that's where I get my joy from.
Thank you so much for sharing. I mean, celebration is the key word there, right? We need to close the
Yes.
loop when we do something that has an impact, and people are happy. We need to find the time to celebrate. This is
Yes.
also part of my Spanish culture, my background, right? It's about putting a lot of effort, but also about taking the time to rest, to celebrate, and to laugh. This is important, and we take life too seriously sometimes. And for some, it becomes difficult to celebrate. They are not used to celebrate. They just move to the
No.
next level, and they take it for granted, and then they feel some emptiness. So yes, celebration is
Yes.
definitely definitely the way. Thank you for sharing, Rejoice.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking. I always want to also find out from you what excites you the most about the future of leadership or coaching in general. What do you think are going to be exciting for us to expect?
That we're going to have more humanity.
Mm,
Making money is important. This is the essence of why business exists in most cases, and that is totally compatible with uh, creating environments where people can be themselves, where people can thrive, where they are treated fairly. To me, I think it boils down to core value of fairness. So I'm very
very
excited
true.
to know that there are more leaders out there that are being equipped, not only from an IQ perspective, or from a problem-solving perspective, but also from an EQ. Connecting, we all have EQ. It's about how can we connect at a deeper level with it, so that we can become better human beings. So this is what I'm excited about. I see there is a humanizing wave uh, in corporate, because clients also demand this. Customers who are the ones consuming from the organizations, in many cases, in the case of the B2C businesses at least, and also with stakeholders involved and partners. And this is something that is exciting, because ultimately what goes around comes around. And if we embrace this mindset of a win-win-win, serving, adding extra value, making people feel that they count, giving them space to express how they feel. This is positive for everyone. This is not a zero-sum game. This is a mindset from the past, and we're going past that.
Awesome. Awesome. I think it's exciting. Everything you're describing really resonates with me, because also do believe that with technology, humans are going to result more into our humanness, if that's a word.
And that's how AI is going to help us realize how important it is to bring the human inside us, right? Not only with technology. I mean, we have been coexisting with different technologies already for for many years throughout humanity, and this is gonna now exponentially grow. And yeah, we have an amazing opportunity to show him who we are behind our
Yes.
performance.
Exactly, exactly. Thank you so much, Jose, for this wonderful discussion, for sharing your wisdom, your knowledge, and giving us your time to be with us today. If any of our listeners or people watching us today would like to connect with you, where is the best place that they can connect with you on?
So LinkedIn is definitely the way. Uh, so Jose M. Romero, I'm happy to, I mean, we are connected. So definitely, if you want to put it to post it so that they can reach out, I'm happy to, to listen to suggestions and to requests. And if I can be of any support within my capacity, I'll be here for that. All
Absolutely.
right.
Awesome. Thank you so much for everything. And we welcome an opportunity to collaborate with you again in the near future. The future of coaching is bright, as you mentioned. And thank you again for just giving us your time and sharing your wisdom with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Rejoice, for your professionalism, your integrity, for making this conversation so smooth. I appreciate you, and I'm very glad you reached out initially and that you proposed this. Has been a great experience, and yeah, keep in touch. I wish you all the best with the upcoming podcast sessions with all the guests. I'll be following it closely to also learn from other guests. And well done. You're an amazing leader, and I'm very happy also to know that there are people like you in the US contributing to leadership in your very unique way. So thank you for that, and thank you for having me. It's been a real privilege. Thank you, Rejoice.
Thank you so much for your kind words. And for all of our listeners, please do the needful. Follow us, subscribe if you haven't done so, and look out for another show next time. Take care.